That to be out for bid.
Well, you have to advertise it, I believe it's on 2 occasions, at least 10 days prior to opening of the bids. So we won't have the ability to do the trash contract prior to your next council meeting. However, when you talk about the number that you budget for trash, I don't know what that number is. I can generally state that from what I've observed in other municipalities, that the trash number has, it's a pretty competitive market right now with the trash.
It is. I know people I know people that actually, boroughs that actually got new companies because the bids were lower. Because there's kind of like in the trash business right now, it's kind of cutthroat right now. I mean, that's, anyway,
So
I know people.
What I've observed, very competitive.
Yeah.
So, what I have seen thus far a couple times this year is that the bid prices have been either at or lower, actually, than what current contract prices are. So ideally, you'd like to know specifically and have a contract in place, before you have your budget. Unfortunately, we don't have that. So you would budget whatever your best estimate is for what your trash services will cost next year. I don't think it's unreasonable I don't know what the budgeted number is, but to leave the number where it is now. You can, depending on what your judgment is. What I'd like to do is, if you authorize me, is prepare specifications, and I have sort of specifications that I've done in other municipalities, so we're not reinventing the wheel. And, email that out to whoever you want to see. And then, with the target that we would be opening bids perhaps the day of the next committee meeting in January, so that night you would be able to see what the bid results are, and then be in a position to award it the following week at your January council meeting. I think that might be your best schedule, or the one I recommend anyway.
Who dropped the ball on?
We have to make a
Who
decision
dropped
on
the
the,
ball on the sanitation? Because council is dysfunctional, so who dropped the ball?
I didn't know that the contract was up when it was up until I found out, which was
Till I told
until you told me.
So I told
Until
you.
you told me. But I mean, that's okay.
Could you possibly supply the contract?
ready complete.
Pardon me?
If you knew it was up, could you supply the contract? Because it's not here. Excuse me?
I don't have the contract.
You don't have the contract, so how do you know it's up?
I didn't know it was
Don't
up.
worry about it. Is that
Let's
a
go.
responsible
Let me
answer?
ask you a question. Why wasn't you responsible to find out? That you run the whole borough, but we're all dysfunctional. This is something you should have known.
Really?
Really?
7 days a week I put in at this job. Do you have any clue what I do here?
Yes. I do.
Absolutely?
I do.
No, you don't.
I do.
No, you
I
don't.
can check Facebook.
No, you don't.
periodically and see you
No,
on
you
there.
don't. You don't have a clue,
I
okay?
sure don't. but
No
I
one
read
dropped the
Facebook.
ball on the trash contract. You dropped the ball because we can't have a functional council meeting.
Slasher.
Yeah, let me move on to the next one. All right, we took care of the bid. Final plans for the William Penn School District, the land development plan, and will be voted at the next council meeting. I'm pretty sure that we're all going to vote to approve that. I mean, I can't see any tie-up in that one.
Well, Mr. Can I ask a question? I think, and I know we need to check with Mr. Rodriguez, but did they submit proposed amendment plans?
About putting a new building there. That's all it's the last Mr. Rodriguez talked about. They were going to put a used building and they couldn't do it, and they got to put a new modular or something like that.
It's just gonna be a few feet off in a new position, that's all.
So they're just relocating the building?
Relocating it. Mhm.
So what you had, Madam President, is, I think it was back in September, you reapproved the William Penn School District land development plans because they had not done the final changes and recorded the plans from when it was approved in 2013. So what you'll be asked to do is approve a resolution approving the amended plan, presumably as recommended by Mr. Rodriguez.
Yeah. That's exactly where we were at, John. Before he was supposed to come back with something else. But I thought it was moving pretty quick because Mr. Cuff and a few other folks were here.
It sounds like it's just simply a minor change.
Yeah. it was something about a modular being used and they couldn't use it because it was used. And I know them modular homes actually depreciate, you know, with the length of time, even anywhere, you know, because that's what they do. Okay, now we're going to go to the, we're prepared for winter. I know we got salt because they bought all that salt and we have it stored somewhere. And we actually have, I know I didn't have too much to do with it because I found out after the fact that we're going to have 2 snow plows because they fixed the old snow plow that they doctored on the big truck with the salt, and then they had a 250 that they bought, the Tonette, which was really nice buy on that truck that they made before things changed over, and they put a snow plow on that at the cost of I think $4,000 or $5,000, and I know we didn't talk about it, but that's about to go on rate to do that, and to invest about $10,000 into a snowplow truck is a good investment because, you know, you go to the car dealer, they're $40, you know, but and now you have it. But I really think that since we invested in this snowplow truck with the 250, that we actually got to baby that truck. Like, we can't ride it all over the place, you know, in the summertime when it's not being worked. We got to keep that thing kind of most ready for the snow, just like they do with the big dump truck. And I do also want to bring up the fact that on municipal services, having 2 full-time guys, you know, right now I guess it's okay, but, you know, as far as cutting, I don't think we can afford 2 full-time guys all the time. Do we need 3 guys when it's snowing out or 4 guys when it's snowing out? Sure. Do we need 3 guys when the grass is growing? Sure. But when we're not doing anything else with it, except putting miles on vehicles, I think council's got to consider cutting municipal services back a little bit, you know, and only work people when they need to be worked, kind of like a temp agency. You can always hire somebody when it snows. Somebody's going to be out of work to drive a truck, or when it's grass, if the grass is growing real fast, you can always hire somebody for a couple days. That's how Colwyn used to run. Okay, the way Colwyn runs now goes all the way back to the CETA program with Jimmy Carter, because we never had full-time hired people here until Jimmy Carter's CETA program came in here. And when Reagan threw Jimmy Carter's CETA program out, everybody ended up having full-time jobs, and the CETA program went, and we got to change with the times too, and only hire people when we need them, not guarantee people full-time jobs, because the taxpayers in this community, with all the mismanagement, and I don't blame it on the last 5 years, I blame it all the way back to the Jimmy Carter CETA program, okay, is we can't continue to do it if we want to survive. We got to continue to cut.
Fred, I don't think you should knock it down to one person.
You know what, Dave? You know what? We do have a backup. I got 10 people in the neighborhood that want to work. And we've already, under the previous administration, knocked it down to 1 person because they didn't have money to pay them. They didn't have money to pay them.
We will open the floor up for public comment.
Oh, I ain't worried about that.
For Mr. McLean in this here. The plow is being repaired, and we purchased, and we paid a little over $5,000. Is our borough manager allowed to authorize that amount of money without the approval of council?
Well, I would typically say that we ought to have a purchase like that should be, come to council.
I think so too.
We don't have a set rule on what purchases, what level of purchases are authorized by the borough manager and what are not. So if we want to set that, we can do that. Council can do that.
I don't think the borough manager has the authority to spend $4,000 or $5,000 of taxpayers' money without the authorization of council. It's not for a case of ditto paper. This is a large amount, and I don't feel, though, that our borough manager has that right or the authority to spend taxpayers' money.
Well, I think ideally that a purchase of $5,000 to purchase a piece of equipment should come to the council for the approval.
I agree. I'm agreeing with Pat. I'm agreeing with Mr. McLean. Not that some things that the borough manager, like you say, a bag of ditto paper or whatever, I'm kind of okay with that. But I'm not okay with certain things like that type, not that we got a bad deal on any of these things. These are the going rate, I know that because I've been in that business 35 years I've been in and out of that business. I know how much things cost. And to look at the truck that was purchased by the outgoing administration, which was the best buy that they ever made, is that one truck that they purchased that they're putting the plow on. Now the other truck with the tailgate on it, that could never be a good buy, but so we want one for two and good buys there, and that was worth putting them, my opinion after I found out the fact, because I said something when I seen the truck about, wow, you can put a snow plow in that truck because you actually need two plows for the storm, and you need a one like the 250 they got, for the type of streets we have here and all. So I know I'm not happy with, I'm like you, I'm not happy with the purchase without coming to me first, but I found out after the fact, and then when I heard the prices, I went, okay, yeah, but it should have should have came to me, like somebody should have called me up and said, hey, we got this 250, which is a good idea, we're gonna throw the snowplow on this truck, and I would tell them, yeah, it's about $4,000, and that's about what the bid came in at, or whatever they did it. And one, like we got a bad deal, but I think, I'm agreeing with you, I think it should have came to different people first, especially me being the financial chair and the municipal chair. Then I could call you up and say, hey Pat, man, they're putting a snowplow on the thing, it's $4,000, and that's a good deal. And you'd have to take my word for it that I know when a good deal is and when a bad deal is. But I agree with you on that. I think some of them things ought to go to council, and that would save a lot of fighting.
You're right.
That would save a lot of fighting. I don't like fighting.
The floor up to the audience. Is there any public comment?
I have a question. Actually, it was to do with public safety. It's just past it. I have a question for the solicitor because I don't want to see the same thing happen this January about affidavits. If I'm right, after 2014 and when it goes into 2015, everyone that was on council or even new council members must fill out an affidavit every year. Would you check into that? I think I read that they have to fill out another one before January 1st when they get sworn. Could you still take oath in January?
Well, I don't take oath.
You don't take oath in January?
You
got the date wrong.
I don't know. Would you check into it, please? Because I'm pretty sure I read that.
I was ready for it.
Municipal services, and I will agree with Mr. Lesher that kind of truck is great for snow plowing, a big 250,
I had a 250.
four-wheel drive, it's great. There is a problem though. It's got bad freeze plugs. You know what the cost of replacing that is? Like you said, it's going to have to be baby, and that's why you don't see that thing going around anywhere.
Yeah, you can't.
Because that engine's going to go.
Well,
We don't get it fixed, but we can't afford to get that fixed right now. We need
Well,
the
I thought I overstated that. I didn't know about the freeze plugs. I just looked at the truck.
No, it's a big,
See that? I'm wrong.
Listen, and the freeze out plug will not make the motor go bad. If y'all know anything about being
it'll run high,
it's gotta
it will
be
make
fixed.
your
It
head
will
go
run
bad.
But
you can put the freeze out plugs in for at least $7 a piece.
Exactly.
All right, my question is
$7 a piece.
the municipal, the municipal, whatever, services. Freddie said he has 10 people waiting, or he has 10 people that can do the job of the people that he wants to get rid of. Is that what you said, that you have 10 people that's willing to do this job, or that can do this job?
When it snows, the borough always went out and hired people, extra people to do things when they need an occasion.
It did not.
Mm-hmm.
No, okay, maybe I'm not understanding. What is it that you're trying to?
I'm trying to say the taxpayers in this community can only afford certain things, and we still
So-
gotta continue to cut.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do we have any say on any of this? I keep hearing what the taxpayer, everybody's trying to protect us as taxpayers. As taxpayers, do we have a right to vote on what we want? Do we have a right to say who we want? Do we have a right? I mean, I know we voted people in for council. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this very incident of what you're talking about, because it sounds to me like you're trying to get rid of the two people that we have that have been staples in the community since I've been here. And let's just call it like we see it. It's a big elephant in the room, but you're talking about Tracy and John, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Is that the jobs you're talking about?
I'm
When you
talking
say
about
snow
cutting in
removal-
general.
because the
I'm
snow
talking
removal-
about cutting in general. I'm talking about cutting in general.
Freddie, I'm just asking for purposes of who we talking about, because I know for a fact, when it comes to snowing, I know who comes down the street and plows the streets on my block. On my block every time, and he comes around 2, 3, 4 times. That's how I can get my car out. Okay? No offense against John, but I've never seen John move that truck. It's always Tracy. Okay? The things that I see John do is picking up branches from Matt's tree. He might clean out the sewer, and he might paint the lines in the street.
He did
But when
that.
you talk about hard, back-breaking work, the only person that I see, and I'm home every day because I'm out on disability, and I'm in this neighborhood and travel this neighborhood every day throughout this neighborhood, every day. And I see Tracy working. So my point is this. Okay, if you need to get rid of somebody to save us some money, I'm all for it. But do we have a right to say who stays and who goes? Because we don't need somebody who's going to stay that's not going to work or can't work because of all his injuries that he has. I know the injuries that he has.
Look, I'm not a person.
Or the health problems. Let me finish. Because just because you look okay doesn't mean you're okay. Because that's the problem that some people have with me. They say I look okay and there's nothing wrong with me, but because they don't know my business, they don't understand why I'm out on disability, because it's none of their business. But I say that to say John looks okay, but we all know that John's not okay. So we only have 2 people. So if you have 10 people ready to take over the jobs or to help Tracy, because that should be the person that has to leave. If you want to get rid of somebody, why won't you get rid of the person that is the least effective?
The union wouldn't allow it.
The union won't allow
The
what?
union wouldn't allow it, seniority.
So, isn't Tracy full-time?
This is a trap.
Tracy was never voted full-time. Tracy was never voted full-time.
Okay, so then that goes back to my original question. The union can't get rid of him, so can we get a petition to keep Tracy here?
You can do anything you want, that's within your right.
If the taxpayers have a right, if you're protecting what the taxpayers say, if you're in the best interest of the taxpayers, which is